Bismarck Insights with Mayor Mike Schmitz, a transparent and engaging conversational dive into meaningful topics impacting local government in Bismarck, North Dakota. Bismarck Insights is dedicated to removing barriers between the City of Bismarck and the citizens we serve every day.
Good morning and welcome to Bismarck Insights. I'm Mayor Mike Schmitz, and today we're going to focus on community engagement with Officer Caity Horne. I said that wrong, Caity Horne. I am sorry.
I get it all the time. It's okay.
I can't read
it's
very
spelled
well.
a little bit differently, so yes.
I can't read very well, so that's my fault. Sorry about that. But Officer, please give the audience a little bit about your background. I know several people in the community probably have seen you, heard from you, but there might be people listening today who don't know how you got to your position in working with the Bismarck Police Department.
Yeah, I actually am from right outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and my now Lieutenant Mike McBurdy called. We actually had the same advisor in college, just a few years difference, and they called and asked me to come to Bismarck, apply and see if I'd like it, and I haven't left. That was in December of 2014, so a little over 10 years I've been with the department. I think it was like November of 18, I was asked to apply for the community engagement and crime prevention section. Officer Renz has, I think, like 26 years of experience, was retiring, and so they asked me to be a part of it, and I fortunately got the position, and I haven't looked back.
Well, that's awesome, and I know, I hear about all the things that you help the community engage with and help to prevent and the activity, and it's always wonderful to hear that. But let's talk more specifically. What is the role of the crime prevention and community engagement section for the department?
Yeah, so our main goal is to bridge that gap between our community members and our police department. We want them to see us as, we're doing a job, but we're human too. We're going to make mistakes, but we also have, a lighter side to us as patrol officers. And that's really what we do on the community engagement side, is we try to bridge that gap so that individuals that see us aren't scared of us. They know that we're friendly, we're here to help them with anything that they would need help with. And then the crime prevention side of it is we just want to help businesses and individuals become less of a chance of being a victim to a crime, whether that's through the education portion, doing like annual trainings with them, to doing like security surveys for their residents or their buildings to make sure that they're bringing in things, proper light, making sure the doors are locked solid, just things like that. So that's pretty much what we do in our section.
So let's talk about residentials for a little bit, or residents, personal homes. What can people do to help make sure their residence is secure? What should they be looking for?
Yeah. The first things that we try to look for is that those exterior doors and the windows, making sure that they're locked, for one. Whether you're there or not, you just want to get in that habit of locking the doors and the windows unless you have it open because it's a nice day out, but making sure that you're there. A lot of people sometimes on level houses, first floor housing, they'll leave their windows open and leave. I mean, that's a great chance for a perpetrator to come in and get in and out very quickly. The other thing that a lot of people don't think about is the lighting. I get it. You don't want to have your whole, you don't want the lights, glaring into your windows. But at the same time, if you have somebody who's looking to commit a crime, if they're going to be seen, they don't want to go to that location. And then the bushing, bushes. A lot of people like to have shrubs and beautiful flowers in front of their residence. And we just say, make sure that it's not overgrowing. It's not going up into your windows, so that people can use that as concealment. Because if you call us and you say, hey, there's somebody in the area, he's hiding behind bushes, it's going to be a lot harder for us to find them if you have these big bushes that are not upkept and trimmed. And again, if it's somebody, even during the daylight, a lot of people think that crime only happens at night. It doesn't. We have burglaries, we have break-ins during the day, simply just because people forget to lock their doors or have those bushes and they're able to conceal themselves while breaking into the residence.
So you talk about lighting. You're talking about exterior lighting?
Correct.
So like in the soffits, or just lights in general, like a porch lamp or something?
Porch lamp, just even if you just have a basic porch lamp, it will help. But floodlights, a lot of people will have those motion activated lights. Those are a huge hit because, again, they're only going to come on when something is moving. And some of those ones you can actually put the the sensitivity to it. So, if a fly goes by, it's not going to go off. It has to look for something a little bit bigger than a dog, and granted, you can do a small dog to a German Shepherd, but
Sure.
if that light's coming on, it might also get you to wake up and say, hey, something's not right. I need to call 911.
And it causes a startle effect, I suppose, to that potential perpetrator.
Absolutely, because again, they don't want to be seen. So if they are, if they're trying to commit a crime and then all of a sudden they have this bright light on them, they're gonna more than likely think twice.
Okay, think how to ask the question. So let's back up. How many officers are in the section?
So we currently have two spots for just officers, and then we have a sergeant and a lieutenant. Unfortunately, with the passing of my favorite partner, Officer Fuller, I'm kind of in the one-woman show right now. We did hire a new officer, but he is finishing out his role in the section that he's in right now, and then hopefully being able to transition over in the summer.
So 2 officers that are kind of on the beat, so to speak,
Yep.
or out in the public regularly, and then the higher ranking officers to guide. Okay, and so as part of the additional prevention or engagement, what activities do you partake in? Who are we talking to? Kids, adults?
It's everybody. We can go into schools. Right now, I think the youngest that I even go to is a mom group, so they have infants to toddlers, and I talk to the moms about safety, and then I can even try to instill those easy to learn tips to those little toddlers. The infants aren't going to get it, but
Right.
And I've talked to somebody as high as 106 years old about safety. So it's really, we can individualize anything to anybody. So if we have somebody that wants to talk about a presentation for safety for their business, it could be completely different. It's just like patrol. Not every day's the same. It's completely different. So again, we could do a safety talk for seniors, and then right after go to a safety talk for kids in elementary school. We're going to tweak it to their age and what their knowledge is about the topic.
So as the department had brought this in place, and we're active for a number of years now, a couple decades at least, what do you feel has been the benefit, not only to the law enforcement team, but to our community? Do we feel like we have great engagement and not being afraid of law enforcement in our city?
I truly do believe that. Coming from Minnesota, I've seen some of the things that have happened in other states, and I truly do believe, I know I told you this probably at our picnic years ago, is our department, I truly believe, is the best department in the state, in the nation, and it truly says that. I mean, our patrol usually deals with the 5%, and it's the worst day of their life.
Right.
The people that come to our events, some of them have said, I've been scared of officers my whole life, but coming to these events, seeing that we're smiling, we're happy, we're human, has kind of helped, again, break down those barriers and allowed them to come and ask us questions that they usually wouldn't ask. We have a great support system here from our community. I think we can always do better. I want to get to that 100% of everybody,
Right.
everybody loving the officers, but I do understand some people have had bad encounters with police officers, whether that's our department or a different department, and that's where we come in, is to show them that, hey, whether or not our officer made a mistake or maybe they made a mistake, hopefully we can get past that and kind of become unified.
Yep. And there's always going to be that 1%, 2%, 3%, 5% that there's an event happens and they got a bad experience, and it's good that we're being proactive in trying to encourage that we're here to help. It's really what we're here for. It's all about public safety.
Absolutely.
So there are some things that happen as not just probably you, but all officers. When a kid is riding a bike or doing something positive, what do we do? Do we give them some rewards?
Absolutely, we give them ice cream tickets, and that was a fun thing that actually we started with AAA. They had the event, and they were with multiple different states. And then a couple years ago, they actually stated that they weren't able to financially keep it up with inflation. And so we were like, well, this is such a huge thing. We, just like our stickers that we give out, these ice cream tickets, kids actually ask their parents, can I get a helmet? Can I get a bigger helmet? Can I get a proper size bike so that they can get this ice cream ticket? So it's a big thing. And so I was able to come up with our own program at the police department. And it's still, I actually just gave my first one a couple days ago to a little boy, and he's riding, but he followed all the rules. It wasn't even just that he was wearing a helmet. Followed all the rules. He was scared at me at first just because he's never really had encounters with police. But after then, he didn't want me to leave.
That's like a huge success story.
Yes, and it's great. It's great to see those little kids that might be, again, they're fearful of us because we're not just wearing a suit and tie and or a dress, but we're wearing a uniform, but we're also wearing our vests, and it can be scary. But so being able to, again, start it young with those interactions with the little kids, I think is a great opportunity for us to hopefully start changing the mind of some of individuals that, again, might have had a negative interaction with us.
Mm-hmm. Are there other things we do within the community, other events that we host or that the police department is hosting or a part of that helps us engage? Let's talk about those a little.
So we have our community picnic that we have every year. That's a huge hit. We've actually partnered with our canine in Bismarck as well as Mandan, and they do a little demonstration on how our dogs work and how well trained they are and how well they listen. But we do anything from, again, those for the community, but we do our blood drive in September with Vitalent. A lot of our programs we like to partner with other people because, again, it's not just Bismarck PD putting on. We've got organizations that help with donations or sponsorships or just partnering. So the other big one that we do is we partner with Mandan first responders and Brave the Shave, and we do a Brave the Shave event. So we're trying to get those programs up and running a little bit more, get more attendance to those. But those are just a few things that we do. There was one, I think a couple summers ago, we had a trucker going through and they ordered the wrong ice cream, and they transferred the wrong ice cream. And so his boss said, hey, you just got to dump it. And he doesn't believe in that. So he called our police department. He donated all of that so that we actually went out and gave ices and ice cream out to just random people, anywhere, again, from little kids. We gave some to individuals that were they were dealing with some hard times. They didn't have a roof over their head, and just giving them that ice cream. Some of them I've recognized when I was on patrol, and they still remember me, but they hadn't seen me in a while, and giving them some ice cream, again, it just bridges that gap between them so they know that, it doesn't matter if you have a home or not. It doesn't matter if you've got an addiction or not. We're here to help you, and we want to make sure that they're safe just as much as, anyone else.
That helps break down the barriers. Remember that, our law enforcement individuals are human beings too.
Absolutely.
They're just like the rest of us, and we
Absolutely.
all have very positive days and some struggles some days, right?
Absolutely.
So another thing we do within the city, and you've participated in this, is the Citizen Police Academy. You're part of organizing that. Let's talk about what that is.
So it's a 12-week course, kind of like our city academy that we put on. But what it does is it really dives in deep about our department. If you are a participant, you get to see the ins and outs of the police department. Every single day for up to 3 hours, you get to, or I should say every single week, every single day 3 hours, but once a week for 3 hours, we have one section of the department come and they just dissect what they do. They don't just say, oh, I'm a detective and I go out afterwards. No, they show them what they do. And it's a great opportunity for anybody, whether or not it's somebody who's getting into law enforcement or thinking about going into law enforcement. We've had, I think a couple of years ago, we had a 70-year-old that just wanted to participate. He had grown up here the whole time, and he wanted to see kind of the change of the Bismarck Police Department. Some of the fun things that individuals get to do is they get to do a ride-along too. That really opens up the eyes of the participant to see, like, if they're looking into it, looking into law enforcement, can I do this job? Is this something I can do? We're a lot different than some of the other departments. Our call volume is very, very high. Sometimes that's an indicator whether or not somebody wants to do it. But the other fun thing that I think is that the participants, if they would like to, are allowed to go through our firearms training. And so they actually get to go through a small simulation of shooting the firearms that we carry. So again, it gives people the opportunity to see how our officers are in and day out. But if they've got interest in a specific section, they get that really in-depth information about that section.
That's awesome, and I think it is a great way. It's no different than the Citizens Academy that the city runs, although this is more intense. But it's important, I think, that we can have that opportunity for engagement. The more people we get through it, the more they understand what our law enforcement officers have to go through on a day-to-day basis potentially, but also just the respect of it, and we get respect for them too.
Yeah.
So what do you feel the success is for, or measuring? How do we measure the success for crime prevention and the engagement section for the police department? What are your tools for measuring that success? Or
I think it's all, all the times that we deal with people. When I first started, some of our events were smaller, and now we're looking at, the 500s to 1,000s. People are coming to our events in those numbers. That's how I look at my success: is, are our programs successful? Are people showing up? But not just that. I mean, on a daily basis, we have people stopping in at the PD, dropping off, I don't want to say gifts, but food. They'll go out and they'll just be like, "Hey, I was thinking about you guys. I got you, a box of cookies." Yep. And it really truly shows that we are doing something. And it's not just our section. Again, we talk about partnership, but it's all of our sections here at the PD. Most of the time it's like, "Hey, I had a really good encounter with this officer, and I just wanted to thank him, but I also wanted to thank Bismarck Police Department. I want to thank our receptionists, our records ladies, for being able to get information out to a certain individual that may have been involved in an accident and they needed it for court or something like that." I think that really shows just how good our department is and how much we are truly involved in our city, just because we get thanked all the time. Some people even notice some of our officers off duty, and they'll come up to them and just thank them, in a quiet manner. We don't need a big banner. We definitely don't need, we don't get into this job for the 25% off or 10% off our meal because we're law enforcement, anything like that. But it is a very nice gesture. But, just those thank yous go a long way.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you brought it up, and that you're getting these people coming in, and it's your focus and your role of creating the engagement. But what are you hearing from your coworkers, the other law enforcement officers, and what is they come back with stories, I gotta believe, how well they were treated or the respect they're seeing. What are some of those stories?
I think most of them, they're on a traffic stop and somebody thanks them, just for keeping them safe. Even though you give somebody a ticket, they still thank you at the end of it, because for the most, I should say, in my opinion, all of our officers, hold themselves at a higher standard, and they're trying to do their best, like we've talked about, and then they, they'll get thanked after a traffic stop, and you kind of wonder, well, why would I get thanked? It's all because of the way that they're approaching that individual. And then of course when we get food, we've got a couple people in town that just routinely bring us food. The second we send out an email, the officers come down and they're just like, "I just can't believe this person took their time out of their day to do this," and they're very appreciative that way. A lot of us as officers, we don't like to show our emotions. I'm a little bit different with my field, but a lot of our officers, they're very appreciative for what the community does for them, and I think that kind of gives them that little, pep in their step to continue, and knowing to continue their job, but also knowing that what they're doing is meaningful and it's appreciated by our community. Yep,
that's great. So our community is growing. As we look forward, and maybe you don't want to do that, don't like to look forward, but we have to look forward. What do you see are some of the opportunities and challenges for prevention and obviously increasing engagement in our community?
I'm always looking forward. I'm always looking for that next best thing that we could do to become a better department. And first off, I think my 5-year plan, hopefully, would be that we can actually add more officers to our section. I know there's a lot of officers that are on patrol that are phenomenal with the community. They're trying to, they want to be on patrol, but they also want to engage with the community. Mm-hmm. So hoping that either we can add more officers to our section, because with our city growing, we're going to need more officers to help, because at some point we are going to get burnt out if we've only got 2 of them.
Yep.
But being able to connect more with the community, I think, is going to be our huge thing. Coming up with those new ideas, new programs, and then the programs that are successful that we have is just making them bigger and better. You know, with our community picnic, first it was kind of more national night out,
Yeah.
but then it, just with the way that National Night Out was a registered organization, we kind of pulled away, and then we do our community picnic. First year it was a couple hundred that showed up. Last year we had about 700, and then we added our canines, we added our vehicles. So just being able to maybe add just a little bit more to our events, I think is just going to continue to have our department grow in more of a positive interaction with individuals and make them want to come to us and come to our events. Regarding crime prevention, I think it's a revolving door. We've got new things coming out, new safety equipment, new technology. Technology is our big thing. So people utilizing those new things that are coming out, I think it's just going to make them safer.
Sure, and one of those things I think we're in the process of, from a safety standpoint, or maybe it maybe isn't prevention, but it might be helping to secure and apprehend the person who perpetrated the crime. But do we not have, or we're in the process of creating the ability for videos that come off of someone else's camera that can be uploaded to the department somehow, or is that still in the works? It's
still in the works. You know, we've had so many success stories with people with like their Ring cameras, or you know, oh gosh, I can't think of what it's called, Nextdoor app, where people are communicating with each other. It's kind of like the old neighborhood crime watch program. You know, unfortunately, that wasn't necessarily successful enough for us to keep it going here in Bismarck, but that doesn't mean that the community members, the neighbors, aren't communicating with each other. And we've actually been able to successfully find the perpetrator for crimes because of Ring doorbells. There's all these little tiny communities that work together, and you can just upload the photos. So we actually have our own government Ring account, and so people are able to share that with us, which is phenomenal. Again, we've had so many successes with it. I don't know if we will ever get to it where we'll have kind of an account for the city where people can just send it in, but I think as long as our officers stay in tune with what's the new hot technology out there, what's the new app out there, I think we'd be able to just continue with that communication with the community so that we can potentially stop perpetrators from getting away.
That's great. So as the last question, sort of, as a police officer, you get to see the community through a lens that many of us do not. Can you share with the audience, you know, about your job in the community, what service to the community brings for you as joyful?
Oh, my whole job is joyful. You know, if anyone has ever talked to us, Clint and I always used to say we're the fun police. Our jobs are so much fun, even on days where we're going. We loved every minute of it because, you know, patrol, you know, sometimes we have people that didn't like us. They were calling us names, they spit on us, they yelled at us. Sometimes that can get to you, even as I like to say that I'm a very joyful, happy person, but some days I'd get off work and I'm like, is what I'm doing really making a difference? In this section, you get to see the difference. You get to see the smiles on the kids' face. You get to be thanked by individuals just coming in to do a safety presentation. Like I said, as I've dealt with kids all the way from 3 years old all the way to 106. It's been a really good opportunity for me. I love the community, and like I said before, I truly do believe that the Bismarck Police Department is the best department in our state, and that, you know, North Dakota is just the best state. And so I truly am honored to be in this section. I hope that it never does go away. I just hope that we continue to grow, and that we become more of a unified community, not buried. There's no barrier between law enforcement and our community members.
Well, I think it's important. If we think we want to have a safe community, we have to be able to be engaged and have the engagement go both directions. So I would hope that we don't ever lose this section of our police department, and it probably in reality needs to grow, or at least cross over, so that, you know, sometimes when someone's on patrol, maybe one day they get to be, for one day a week or one day of their, you know, month or whatever, they get to do some of that work, but it probably would help them too.
Absolutely.
So, and it will help our community as we like to grow, and we know we'll grow. And I too do believe we have a very, very good law enforcement division, police department in the community. In fact, I would say we probably have the best in the state, but I'm also biased.
Well, thank you.
So, you know, our department has been run very well for a number of years, and we've been very fortunate to have good leadership. And so,
Yes.
Thank you, Caity, for your time today. It's been a pleasure, and citizens, you know, Katie's there to help us out. So,
Thank you.
Feel free to reach out to her.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching Bismarck Insights with Mayor Mike Schmitz. If you have specific topics or questions you'd like addressed in future episodes, email mschmitz@bismarcknd.gov. Or call the City of Bismarck at 701-355-1300. To learn more about the City of Bismarck, visit bismarcknd.gov or follow us on a variety of social media channels by searching BismarckND.gov. Bismarck Insights is a collaboration between Dakota Media Access and the City of Bismarck. You may find Bismarck Insights episodes on Government Access Channels 2 and 602, as well as on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV devices, on Radio Access 102.5 FM, and on demand at freetv.org.